Yeah, I was just listening to Starkey's thing from Newsnight 2011. I had no idea about that.
No, I'd only read it when it's been resurfaced. Now I don't know why he gets like airtime. But I know it was on that fucking Darren Grimes' channel and stuff. But still,
well, even that. I mean, we'll I don't want to repeat it. We'll get into it. But you're right, because Darren Grimes' channel is a load of fucking guff in it. It's just another Rebel Media or whatever. But since 2011, Starkey's been on Question Time loads. The Newsnight, BBC have had him on. So it's not like those. Since he said those comments, he hasn't been on the mainstream media. Do you know what I mean? It's just now we're at the sort of they're coming to light, and people are saying, "Well, hang on a minute, he's got a form for it." But yeah, it's fucking horrendous, mate. Just bizarre. You know what? It's just typical of this country. If you've got a posh voice, people just listen to you like you know what you're fucking talking about, even when you're talking shite.
He looks like Tubbs out of League of Gentlemen, though. Do you know?
He does look like that is him in it. That the local shop one. That one.
Local country for local people.
This is What's this? We'll have no immigrants here.
Yeah. Them damn blacks.
Damn blacks. Mate, even like proper racist people tone it down a bit. Like they don't say that obviously. Do you know what I mean? Like they go like
subtle
blacks, not them damn blacks. It's 2 steps away from just dropping M-bombs in it. Do you know what I mean? Fuck you. Come on, son. At least pretend not to be completely racist.
I know,
you know what I mean? I was like, what? Really? And it's like, yeah, it's on a crappy little channel with that moron Darren Grimes, but even someone as detached as David Starkey knows that's going to go online and it's going to go, you know, it's going to be viewed by a lot of people and it's inflammatory and whatnot. But yeah, he's just another fucking thick as pig shit person who somehow has painted himself as an authority on lots of things. I mean, he's a historian, which I thought would have made you, you know, at least a little bit intelligent, but it seems like he's not.
Well, there was loads. I mean, the racial prejudice aside, like the fact that he said the first step of globalization was the British Empire. And like, well, you're a historian, surely you've heard of Roman Empire and Athens before that, and Genghis Khan. I mean, China had a pretty decent run at things. Do you know? Do you know what I mean? The globalization did not start with the British Empire, but that's what I mean. It tries to suit his narrative that he said 200 years ago we settled slavery 200 years ago. Settled it,
right?
Like an old
done that, completed it. Slavery, completed it.
Yeah, but, paid it off. No.
Yeah, and the Romans, they didn't get out of Italy, mate. Talk to me about Romans.
That's why all the roads are fucked in England, because if they got up here and toilets, you know, that's why the lavatories are knackered in France.
Someone sending Monty Python's Life of Brian as a fucking historical bit of advice for him. That is absolutely shocking. Right, do you want to do an intro, sir?
Yes, I'll do an intro. This is Scotty and Motty. I'm when you're watching this, I'm seriously not doing this wrong. It's just because I'm fucking camera dyslexic. If it's a certain thing. Welcome back for another show. Thank you for everyone that's been in touch. As always, subscribing and sharing and leaving comments. We had a mammoth session last time because we were talking about all our favourite actors. And to be honest, we're lucky that we condensed it under 2 hours, but we tried our hardest. Appreciate those that persevered watching through it. We're definitely going to the Sopranos episode is going to be like a box set.
Mate, that's going to be like the Encyclopedia Britannica of fucking podcasts, that, mate. Might have to do it in sections. 27 different sections. I'm already dreading that one. That'll be like a top 5. That'll be a top 500. That it won't be top 5. It'll be like top 500 Sopranos moments.
Seasons.
Yeah. Come on, lads. I've watched 5 of these podcasts. You're still on season 1.
Yeah.
We are a little bit obsessed with the Sopranos, but can you blame us?
We are. It is. I mean, it might be as good as The Wire, but that's a debate for another. I know. Yeah, that's a debate for another show. We have loads to get through as ever. The world is still mental and just becoming more of a parody as the year comes on. How the hell is it July already? I can't believe we're nearly halfway through a year.
When you play, you know, United are playing, or you're playing football yourself, and you're like 4-0 down. and you're like, and you look at the stopwatch, and it's like there's another 42 minutes to go, and you're like, fucking hell, like just get the game over with already. That's how it feels with 2020, doesn't it? It just feels like, are we only halfway through this, or whatever we are, 7/12 through it or whatever? It's a fucking absolute nightmare.
But the years aren't getting better, are they really? I mean, last year we had the referendum and the whole Brexit shit, and now we've had like the pandemic. It's got to be aliens next. You know what I mean? That'll be something a little bit different.
This is what we're saying. I think if there was aliens, I don't even think it'd make the front page. There's that much shit going on. It'd be like on page 12. Oh, by the way, there's aliens. What? Yeah. But do you remember like a few years ago? You're right, because a few years ago we had that horror year, didn't we? In terms of like legends dying. Was it 2016?
2016, yeah. When Caroline Aherne, whose anniversary it is today.
Yeah, Victoria Wood, Prince, Bowie. There was loads. I'm missing some out, forgive me. But there was a lot. And it was like, and a lot of them were like Caroline Aherne, for example. I think she's early 50s. They weren't all, it wasn't like people you'd sort of expected it. But it just seemed to be a stream of icons dying. Everyone like, this year is the fucking worst year ever. And then it's like, oh no. No. You ain't seen nothing yet. And then every year since has just been another fucking drama. Like you said, the referendum and everything that brought with it. And then 2020 has just gone to another level, mate. Something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never saw coming.
2021, the return of austerity. That's what it'll be. The austerity, the sequel. Dun, dun, dun. That's what it'll be. Fucking Hunger Games on the streets, mate. I'm telling you.
If Trump had his way, he'd have the Hunger Games. He would have that.
Yeah. It reminds me of the more and more I watch him. Do you remember the Running Man?
Yeah.
Killian out of the Running Man. That's what it's like. Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, it was. It was. I'm gonna ram this camera up your fucking ass.
That's going to be Chappelle impression, I tell you.
No. For anyone who's wondering, that was Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man.
Oh man. Go on.
No, because I'm gonna end up down a rabbit hole. I don't want to go down. Go on.
Right. Okay. Well, I was going to bring it back to a more sober moment. Because was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it? Not today.
Yes.
Yesterday, July the 1st. I'll take you back to 2016. Me and Jay were
14.
In Atlanta.
2014.
Sorry, I'm in 2 years on. Okay, now. All right.
You're taking 2 years off me here.
Put your coins away. 2014, we were in Atlanta. 2016, we were somewhere else. 2014, we were in Atlanta, come back from the World Cup. And I think we were in a bar in Atlanta, and you'd had your last beer, didn't you? And you've been sober ever since. And I just want to take this moment. I'm not going to get totes emotion on this, but what I'm going to say is absolutely mean it, is that you are an inspiration to me, Jay, and everything that I mean this is that. Because I know how hard the journey's been for you to get to where you are, and just to know you has to do, and to see the journey you've made, and you're such a fucking outstanding father. You've done fantastic career-wise. You're a bit of a dodgy boyfriend, but I don't think alcohol is going to solve that. But I mean it, mate. I'm honestly so proud of you, mate, and that's I mean that from my heart.
I appreciate that, mate. Me and you are close. We've known each other for nearly 20 years, so it means a lot. And we've been. You've seen me try and quit before and fail. You've seen me try it a few times and it's never really stuck. You've seen me go through some pretty shitty places. I know we've had a laugh and we've had some good times and all that, but you've seen it when it's not been that funny. And it needed to be done, mate. You know what I mean? I'm like 40 now and I was settling down, getting a family, and, I was given choices. It's carry on doing this so we can start a family. And thankfully, with people like yourself, my missus, my kids, and my family around me and good friends who get it. And that's why now I'm like, our mutual friend Tomo was taking the piss out of me. He's like, I'm sick of hearing about this 6-year anniversary on every platform I go on. So the pigeons just flown past and dropped me a note saying you're 6 years clean. But it's that thing. It's like, I used to be a little bit reluctant to shout about it as much. When I got to like a year and 2 years, but I'm in that age now where the people in my life, are supportive. They all are, and I'm not asked if people want to judge and say, well, fucking hell, whatever. Do you know what I mean? The people that care about me know and get it. And also, the reason, we're having this chat and the reason I shared it on social media is because, not that, like, people go, oh, Jay's a great example, whatever. I think there's a genuine thing where there's certain people, and I do have a relatively decent platform on things like Twitter. I've got a few followers, and I'm not going to lie. And it's like people who know me or who see me and see what I'm about might think, well, he's not your classic sort of sober person. He's someone who's obviously been through it, and if he, I'm going through it, and if he can do it, then maybe I can give it a go. And that's the only reason. Do you know what I mean? I've tried different ways and means. I've done 12-step, I've done rehab, I've done all sorts of stuff, and I still do a little bit of 12-step. And they always say, you share that stuff and you talk about it to try and encourage the person who's struggling to think about it. Not for me to go look at the big me. Haven't I done well?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a little bit of a thank you to people that have supported me, but the main thing is someone out there who goes, fucking hell, man, Jay. And even like people who've seen me, doing devils, full-time devils. I wasn't sober when I started doing that. There was times when I was drinking and whatnot when I was doing that. So they might remember for that. When I was on some sort of social medias, they might have known me when I was posting vids or tweets or whatever when I was still at it. And they might think, I can remember him when he was doing what he was doing, and now he's sorted his acts out, and there's hope for us all. And that's all. That's the only reason I do it, and reason I talk about it is because of that. And that's how it happened with me. I see other people that I wanted a bit what they had, and that was a better lifestyle. And thankfully, I've got that. Do you know what I mean? And you're the same, mate. There's times when you're not like me, you're nowhere near like I am. I don't mean that dismissively, but you're just not. But there's times when you can take a step back, and I admire that. Do you know what I mean, mate? It's just you go, right, I'm gonna have a bit of a break now. And I envy you because I could never do that. It's all or nothing.
Well, I mean, and this is why I'm sincere in saying that I find you doing it inspirational, Jay, because and hand on heart, I'd quite gladly not drink again. And the more I take breaks and drink, is when you've taken that step back, I find out what the triggers are as to why I need a drink and stuff. It's like because I'm trying to do it again now. I'm doing pretty well, but I'm not. Me and you know how long it's been. But I did it last year for 6 months, and I tried to make a big deal of it, but not in the sense that, like you said, oh, look at me, I'm stopping drinking sort of thing. But I needed to try and I wanted to put it out there that I was trying to stop, because I thought that might be the kick in the ass that I need. But but what happened is it became a whenever you'd meet anyone, they're all like, I'm a day sober, are you now? Like, it's, and the fact that a lot of close friends and family think that it's I told my brother-in-law how long I'd stopped drinking for the other day, and he goes, fucking hell. It's not great. No, it's not. But that's, I come from a family and friends, and I don't think this is unique to us, but just having like, it's a huge drinking culture. Obviously, the football thing, music thing, and then my dad absolutely loves to drink and everything. And it's just like I've grown up with that sort of atmosphere. My family are a huge trigger for me, because they love getting drunk, and not because they've got a problem or anything like that. But my problem with drinking is that I have one drink, I'm out for days, and whether that's fucking on the couch the following 3 days, or I'm not coming home for 2 days, and then I'm having another week off. And it's only when I stop drinking is that I realise I get that sort of clarity, how much it's actually affecting my sleep and stuff like that, let alone the stuff that I get up to when I'm actually pissed. Because I got to a stage 2-3 years ago when the whole Arcade sort of thing kicking off, and you're getting offers of fucking cocaine and shit like that. And I've never been one for doing sniff, but if it comes like that, it becomes that frequent put in front of your face, and you're like that, and then you have a bit of light, you have a bit of coke, and then you're out for another fucking. And then that just accentuates the fact, doesn't it? Oh, I can carry on drinking, and this is what all buzzes me when people going about weed being the gateway drug. Like, I've had a spliff, I've never wanted to do any coke. Do you know? You know what I mean? But or anything else. I just want to like get a load of pizza and just sit down and watch fucking shit on TV. But if I've had a fucking few beers down the pub and everyone's getting not this doesn't happen now. This happened years ago. But like if I'd had a few beers and then someone's getting keys out, and then but it doesn't happen when you've had a spliff. So for me, alcohol has always been. I can never. Once I've had one drink, then I know that I'm not coming home before last orders, and I might not be coming home before fucking tomorrow morning or however long. So when I say you're an inspiration, it's just like we've shared a lot of time together when we worked in Malia, and like fucking hell, that was pretty much nearly 6 months pissed every single night, and we had a great time. But when I reflect on it now, that nearly every mistake that I've made largely in my life has had some sort of has usually been through drink. Do you know what I mean? Either arguments or not turn up for jobs on Monday morning because I've been out for a fucking bender on a weekend and stuff. And it's just when you get that, put that sort of distance between you and that, you get more sort of clarity and focus about how much it's actually impacted your life. So when I say that you're an inspiration, I mean, I sincerely mean it, Jake. Honestly, I do. So thank you for putting it out there, and the message is strong. And if it can affect your mate to try it, I realize I don't know if I'm an addict or whatever, but I realize that drinking is a problem for me, and you are using your pedestal, your platform to help raise awareness to others that might be in the same situation. The more power to you. It's amazing, mate. Honestly, I find it absolutely amazing.
Thanks, mate. And I think attitudes have changed. You know, like people sort of are less generally, not exclusively, but generally, people are more understanding, and you understand about mental health, and we understand about addiction and things like that. And you know, there's nothing wrong with someone saying. I mean, 99% of the population isn't, you know, or whatever. Not 99%, I shouldn't say that, but the vast majority of the population won't be an addict, and we'll be able to have a beer. You know, when the pubs reopen, you'll see loads of people who go out and they'll drink and whatnot, and then they'll be in work on Monday morning. But I'm like you, but a lot worse. You know, I wouldn't be able to do that. That's why I've had to quit completely. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't have a shandy even, or a few beers, or a spliff, because it leads to other things, and it leads to like the things you said, and a lot worse as well. You know, I've had some close calls, and you know, you don't need to go into details there, but you know, I've still got repercussions that I have to deal with because of, you know, my sort of drinking and whatnot when I was younger. Without going into that, I've been in trouble before. I think I've touched upon this on this podcast. You know, just I'm not even gonna lie to you, not even that serious, just petty, stupid shit that could have got me in a lot of trouble. Do you know what I mean? And I've had those sorts of things go on, and I've walked a fine line at times. And now you think, you know, I'm fortunate. I'm in a position where got a good support network, got people around me, got that knowledge and sort of a maturity as well. I'm a little bit older because, like I said, I've tried this when I've been younger. It's not really stuck. And you know, I've got reasons there that motivate me enough as well. And I'll be honest with you now, I'm at a point where I genuinely don't miss it. I know that's not the same for everyone, but I don't get envious when I see people drinking or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like my missus doesn't drink a lot, but she has a drink in front of me. It doesn't bother me at all. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like, she didn't drink for years. She was like, so I'm like, oh, I don't drink because I don't want to sort of rub it in your face. I'm like, don't worry about that. And yeah, she'll have a beer now and again. And I'm perfectly happy with me cherry Coke or cherry Pepsi Max. That does me. So yeah, it's just, I think the timing was right, and it's been great as well. The messages I posted, the messages of people just saying, you know, well done and all that sort of stuff. And I think attitudes are changing, and you know, we need to talk about these things. And it's your own business. Don't get me wrong. If you don't want to share that, because I didn't used to. I used to go out with people like from work or whatever, and hide it while you're not drinking. I'm on antibiotics, or I'm driving, or you know, just stupid fucking shit. I'm Muslim. I'm not, but just whatever. Just anything, just to say I can't drink. Do you know what I mean? Don't give me that, rather than saying, oh, well, actually, I'm a recovering alcoholic. You know?
That's funny. I mean, it's how times change, because it used to be the excuses you'd find not to go into work on a Monday morning, and now you're finding excuses why not drink. I've been the same, like peeling labels off bottles because it had non-alcoholic on it. And then, you know, do you know what I mean? And then I'd always be the one to fucking go out. I said, oh no, I'll get this round in. And then I'd end up going home skin sober, and everybody else is out on the fucking lash just because I didn't want to say I didn't want to drink. And you're right, the timing's changed. Because it used to be a stigma where people would see it as weakness that you couldn't do that. But now I think, I firmly believe it's a strength to actually have that. Because when I did 6 months last year, and then the amount of people and the amount of close friends who were saying that they want to stop drinking, but they don't know how to do it, and the admiration that they were looking towards me. I said, I've only gone 6 months, and then lo and behold, I went to fucking Bulgaria with mum and dad. They're in the airport at 6 a.m. in the morning. What are they doing at the airport? Oh, get the beers in, and then without any sort of thought or anything that I'd just done 6 months. Yeah, I'll have a Perona, and then. It was only when I got back from Bulgaria, I was like, you fucking dick. Why? And it's just, I couldn't work out why. But I used to get these, it's not so bad now because I'm aware of it, but this sort of like, it's a horrible, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like this sort of thing that crawls in your body, like, I need to go and get a drink and join in. It's a very weird sort of sensation. I need to be doing that. Like like the monkey on your back, I suppose, the thing. Yeah. But I like I said, the more I do it, and there's the more awareness. But I have every intention of pushing this one as far as possible. And like I said, I don't miss drinking. I know the pubs are open again on Saturday, and I have no, because I mean I have no real want to sort of go and do that. I find more enjoyment making more of my time than spending it on the. I've got 3 kids anyway. You could be hungover with 3 kids.
Mate, this is what I'm having this exact conversation with Mrs. the other day. I said, you know, there's motivation. I said, these kids do my dinner at the best of times, but imagine waking up and hangover with them. Fuck off. There's motivation for you. Can't think of anything worse. So,
put a load of kids in there, eh? You know, just let them run in. I'll fucking
let them run riot. We'll start taking your kids out and taking them at meetings and letting them run riot. You know what I mean? Imagine waking up with an hangover this. No, that's it. I'm done. But they say it's you know, one day at a time, and that's the best way. And you know, if there's anyone out there, I don't want to get all sort of schmaltzy or whatever, but you know me, get in touch if you want pointing in the direction of people that have helped me. Do you know what I mean? And it's just one day at a time. And you know, I've got mates who are like yourself, who sort of in and out and have a break or whatever. And I've got other mates. I've got one mate who's quite close to me, who for years used to, you know, or because I've done this before, was like, I think I got to 4 years before, and then I ended up drinking again. And I remember him used to say to me like, "How'd you do this? Why'd you do it? How'd you do it?" And now I think he's 18 months in now. So yeah, man, he's you know, he's really doing really well, and me and him are out today and having a good catch up and that, and it's good to see because his life, you know, he's got life problems that everyone has. You know, my life isn't perfect, still have life issues, but my issues aren't, you know, I'm waking up in a police cell, or I'm waking up in the middle of nowhere, or I've gone and pawned all my fucking contents of my house to pay for something. Do you know what I mean? So there's none of that. It's just you've got a life, thankfully, and you know, intend to keep it.
Good on you, man. More power to you.
Thank you. Before we crack on, my lovely lady friend wants to jump behind me and get something. We'll edit this bit out because she will not be on camera. There she is. Do you know what? I'd leave it in, Scotty, but my life would be not worth living, mate. Seriously.
Can't you pixelate her?
Like, even though I might leave that in, actually. I'm going to leave it in. Should we leave it in?
Yeah, I'd leave it in.
Looking, don't start getting all angry. You can't even barely see anything. It'll be funny. And the wrong thing was, I didn't want to stop him because he was paying me a compliment, and that's like fucking an annual. That's like not even an annual thing. That's like once every 10 years from Scotty. So I'm not about to interrupt him in flow when he say nice things about me, just so you can get your wares. Right, sorry. Anyway,
it's like them kids off the news channel. You know what I mean? When she comes in at the back and stuff.
Like, that one with the biscuit. She did really well there. She did what I do in front of people. Like I'm dead. Like no, not now. Oh yes, okay. Where it's like when no one's watching, like you.
Yeah. That was my moment. National TV.
I've ruined it. Anyway, enough about alcoholism and drug addiction. Let's talk about something more cheerful. Racism.
Well, we're like 25 minutes into a podcast. We're late, really. You know,
mate. Do you know what? Right, we would love to come on here and not talk about racism because it wouldn't be a massive issue. But the reason we talk about it, and we talk about what's going on day to day, you know, anyone who's been watching or listening will know we talk about the main stories and the things that are affecting us and whatnot. And this keeps coming up. It keeps coming up in various different ways. And it comes up now at a time when people are actively more than ever trying not to be racist because there's some, you know, there's a big movement going on, Black Lives Matter, and people, it's in the spotlight, people are trying to show they're not racist, and yet it's still happening. And, it, you know, I'll let you, Scott, explain it because this is just, it's just really a bizarre twist, really, and it just sort of makes you think, really, is this still happening? Is this how it's going? I'll let you talk about it because it's David Starkey. If you just want to tell everyone what went on with him, the historian. Sorry, people don't know David Starkey, famous historian, and today he's come out of a load of drivel.
Yeah, I mean, I think from now on we should use the term historian loosely when it comes to David Starkey. He was interviewed by Darren Grimes, who, if I'm right, is a conservative commentator. Is that his job title? He's not a conservative MP. He's a conservative ass kisser. Is that the best one?
Do you know one thing, right? I don't want to stop you starting with flow, but that fucking annoys me about Darren Grimes. They'll have him on BBC or whatever, and the topic, I remember once the topic was Scottish independence, and they were talking about Scottish independence or whatever it was, and he said, "Oh, I don't know anything about this subject." What the fuck? Why have they got him on then? Like he was on there just because he's a conservative, a young right-wing voice, where most young people tend to be centrist or left-wing, and because he's quite articulate in the way he speaks, but because he was right-wing, they had him on a subject he knew nothing about. It might not have been Scottish independence, it might be something else, but he literally knew nothing about that, and he admitted that. He hadn't watched any of the speeches, he didn't know the arguments, but they had him on anyway. And I just think that's nonsense. Do you know what I mean? That's like having me and you to talk about, the problems with Liverpool City Centre or whatever. You wouldn't have us on to do that if you know what's good for you. but
I'd look at that interview.
Yeah, look, that'll last about 8 seconds before they cut us off. But you know what I mean, though? That's something we don't, or whatever. The sort of the poverty in Zimbabwe. You wouldn't have us, me and you, talking about that. So why have him talk about something he doesn't know just because he's a conservative commentator? It's not good enough. But go on, sorry, I digress.
No, I mean, and this is a very similar story that we can sort of throw at many people who get pushed in front of a camera, especially on Newsnight and the likes. Because I mean, David Starkey, this wasn't a mainstream show; it was Grimes' YouTube show, which I think you referred to it as. Was it similar to what's the other one?
Rebel Media. It seems. I mean, I'm not au fait with it, but Rebel Media was very right wing, and it seems. I presume. I mean, I don't know a lot about it.
I think it's his own channel anyway. I'm not going to plug it because
it's a right wing platform because he's very right wing, and he's not. You're not going to get him on bloody Mother Jones or whatever or CNN unless he comes on as sort of the counterpoint. But he's right wing. His channel's going to be right wing, and David Starkey's come on. And go on. Sorry, I'll let you explain.
So the episode that was called "Dr. David Starkey: Black Lives Matter aims to delegitimate British history," and in it, he made a comment saying that slavery was not genocide. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many damn blacks in Africa or Britain, would there? An awful lot of them survived. I mean, that was just one of the fucking issues with it. And we'll try and pull it apart. And he was describing cancel culture and the pulling down of statues as deranged. He also said, as for the idea that slavery is this kind of terrible disease that dare not speak its name, it only dare not speak its name, Darren, because we settled it nearly 200 years ago. Settled it. And then he was saying that the British Empire was responsible for the first phase of globalization. So his narrative in this, and many things that I've sort of read upon David Starkey this evening, is sort of pushing that agenda or narrative that the British Empire was a good thing that we spoke about before regarding education and schooling systems. And if you're talking about the British Empire being the first part of globalization and you label yourself as a historian, then when didn't you hear about the Roman Empire? Or Greece before that, it's just.
I mean, sorry, Scott.
And then if you sorry, I'll just a bit. And his colleagues today that work at the same university of him, he actually is a University of Cambridge lecturer, and Nicholas, I think it's Guyat, said, "I can't speak for my employer, but as someone who teaches history at Cambridge, I'm ashamed of our connections and urge both the university and Fitzwilliam College to cut all ties with him." And this is, again, like I said, when Darren Grimes is pushed in front of cameras to talk about Scottish independence, why do we keep going for these contrarian people who have twisted views and we don't offer any sort of nuance or debate? And especially at this sort of matter in time, and I know this wasn't a mainstream channel, and he must have been aware that it is going to get sort of these repercussions, but he's got form for it as well. It's like you were saying, that the 2011 riots, he brought out a lot of twisted sort of propaganda regarding it being a racial issue that was causing the riots. I mean, where do you start with the comments? Slavery wasn't genocide. If there was, there wouldn't be so many damn blacks in Africa or Britain, would there? An awful lot of them survive. Which is, when you look at genocide through history, I think there's still population in Rwanda, aren't there? And they're the fucking genocide.
Mate, do you know, like, are we going to go there? There's still Jewish people across Europe. Was there not a genocide there? There's still, like you say, Muslims in Eastern Europe. Was there not a genocide there? There's been genocides all over the world where, populations have survived and endeavoured and persevered. So to sort of say, and it's not even that, the language damn blacks is obviously highly offensive and it's inflammatory and it's done deliberately. But my main issue with this, I mean, you know, you can argue there's lots of different sides to this. I mean, what he said is outrageous. Yeah, all right, he said it on this YouTube channel or wherever he said it. But the real sort of issue here is when you scratch beneath the surface, as you mentioned earlier, in 2011, David Starkey on, I think, Newsnight was talking about how Enoch Powell was more or less right. He said he got one thing wrong, but with his Rivers of Blood speech, which, you know, when Enoch Powell gave that speech in, I think it was in the 60s in Birmingham, he spoke about the rivers of blood like overflowing like the Tiber and how immigration was going to wreck the country, basically. And it was, even for that day, it was totally inflammatory, and I think he ended up getting sacked from the Tories or wherever it was. And David Starkey said he was more or less right. And then David Starkey was making the argument that the reason he had a problem was because white people were acting like black people. He said white chavs were acting like black people. And that was the problem. And it was like, that was outrageous. And that was 9 years ago. And in those, I didn't even know about this till today, to be honest with you. And then in those intervening 9 years from when he said that to then, he has been on Newsnight. He has been on Question Time. He has been in the mainstream media. I mean, I don't agree with cancel culture, but there's limits. There's limits where you go, we can't have that guy on anymore because he's a fucking idiot. And we've seen this time and time again. And we've seen it, and we've seen him get away with it. You know, Katie Hopkins is the example. People go on about Katie Hopkins, and we did it, you know, ding dong, witch is dead. We had a party. But look at Katie Hopkins. Katie Hopkins was making outrageous statements. And she was still given a platform. She was still getting invited onto certain shows. I saw her on Andrew Neil once, being as Islamophobic as you can be. She was literally coming out with just Islamophobic drivel about, there's, you know, talking about things that I sort of knew a little bit about. Like, there's a family there in Manchester. It was a Muslim family, and they've not been seen for months. Where do you think they are? They've obviously gone to some jihadi camp to be trained. And you think, they could have gone on holiday. You don't know where they've gone. You don't know anything about it. You don't know what you're talking about. And you shouldn't be going on the BBC accusing someone you don't know of becoming a jihadi when you don't know that. And then, yeah, that for me is one of your things where you think as a producer or as an organization, we can't have her on again. She's just, it's hate speech. But she did get invited back on. And it wasn't until she just went completely like outrageous. There's no way you can cope with this. Even after, like, for example, she did an article where she was saying about immigrants being cockroaches and shoot them. And she still had a radio show at LBC after that. She still had, I think that might have led to her getting sacked, but I think she lost the Sun column for it, which, I mean, Jesus Christ, you've got to be the second coming of Satan to lose your Sun column. Do you know what I mean? You've got to make, like, fucking Jimmy Savile, Josie Fritzl look like choir boys for the Sun to fucking wash their hands here. God knows what sort of levels of hatred that she was spouting for them to go, wow. Do you know what I mean? So that shows you that one. But then she still kept a radio show after that, I think. Then she lost it eventually because of something she's done. But the point I'm getting, not just getting bogged down with her. Others have done it. We've seen it time and time again. Tommy Robinson kept getting invited onto mainstream media. I was getting my kids ready for school once, and I literally saw him sat on GMB with Piers Morgan, waving the Quran around during an interview, going, "This is a doctrine of evil." Now, how is that okay? Do you know what I mean? At 8:30 in the morning, to have someone on who's obviously far right spouting hate speech on mainstream media, how is that okay? It's not. And David Starkey's been doing this, and the signs are there. When you see these signs, then you've got to say, right, we're not gonna have them. It's not cancelling someone to not invite them on anymore. To say, you know what, and even if it was, certain people deserve to be cancelled if the hate speakers. You wouldn't have Abu Hamza or whatever going on ITV or Loose Women, would you?
Yeah.
Say, you know, death to all non-believers or whatever. So why do you have it the other way around? Why do you have these far right idiots going and causing hatred and causing division and you know, making people less safe? It's just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's because they're white that they get a sort of more of a pass? Because it's like you said, I can't imagine, I don't know, Abu Hamza going on with a claw and a Bible, with his hook and a Bible, waving it in front of Piers Morgan. That wouldn't happen, would it? Do you know? But you know, I've spoke to people. I work with the BBC, but a lot of the shows are actually the broadcast by the BBC. I think it's Question Time. Is it Mentor Media?
Yeah,
that actually make the show, and it's broadcast by BBC. But surely somewhere along the line, if you're broadcasting it, you know what I mean, you're putting your name on the front of it. You need to be having more of a sort of say in who your guests are. But again, clickbait, innit? I mean, and viewing figures tell. And if you look at Piers Morgan and the guests that they have on GMB, it is very much because inflammatory stuff will always get the clicks. If you look on on social media, it's always stuff like that GMB will clip up and put on their Twitter page that gets retweeted. So I mean, is it indicative of us as a society that we like to buy into this sort of stuff that we need to, you know what I mean? Is it a vicious cycle that who's feeding who? Is it because we like to watch that sort of stuff?
It's a good question. I mean, there's two questions there. You know, you said is it because he's white that he got invited on, or he gets invited on, and he gets away with saying that sort of thing and still having a media career. And I think what we've seen recently is, not to that extent, but we've seen more. We were talking about this earlier, more conservative voices from different spectrums. So we have seen black conservative people on mainstream media a little bit more. And I was talking about how that's sometimes skewed, how you'll have like, you know, a Candace Owens type or whatever, or a Terence Williams type. And then people think, oh, that's sort of how all black people think. You need to be more proportionate. If you're going to have a very right-wing conservative black person, then you need to balance it out by, you know, having a sort of representation of other political sort of affiliations within the black community, because most black people aren't very conservative. So it needs to be fair. You need to be represented fairly as well. So that is an issue. So I think, you know, we've seen that balanced out a little bit, but yeah, he's probably has still, you know, getting more media work, because not just because he's white, but because of he's standing within those sort of academic circles, if you will, which now is probably on shaky ground from what you're saying from some of his colleagues. And then the other question about, is it our need, is it our sort of desire to see that thing, to hear that? Well, is it that though? Like, do you want to hear that? Do you want to see Tommy Robinson on GMB waving a Quran around? Do you want to hear Katie Hopkins on Newsnight, you know, saying that, you know, your neighbours that are Muslim can't be trusted or whatever? I don't think we do. And I think there's people at the very top. We have this sort of issue, or this narrative that gets created, that it's the people at the working classes and the bottom people who are all racist, and they all. So when I say the bottom, I mean the bottom of, you know, sort of monetarily, not in, you know, anything else. The sort of lower classes, they're all racist, and that's what they want, and we, you know, we're just feeding what they design. I don't think, is that the case? Is that really what we all want to see and what we all want to hear, or is it a case of actually you've got more right wing racist people at the very top of these media corporations, at the very top of these decisions that are being made, and they're going, you know what, let's stick him on. He's quite interesting. Yeah, let's get Tommy Robinson in, let's get Kate Hopkins in, let's keep giving Darren Grimes loads of work. Do you know what I mean? Because I like him. I think that's got a lot to do with it. I don't think it is necessarily that we have this desire to, this need to hear it. I think it's more that there's the people in control. They want to do it. They want to push, not only do they want to push those thoughts and that narrative, they agree with a lot of it. And I think, it does work in terms of clickbait as well, because even I've clicked on articles that have got headlines that are outrageous that I don't agree with. You think, what the fuck are they on about? You know what I mean? There is an element of that, but by and large, I think it's you know, I think it was Akala who said it on when he was debating Tommy Robinson. He said it, you know, it comes from the top down, not from the bottom up. And I think it's the same in the media. I think that's the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point when you're talking about when they bring black people onto GMB. Who was the black conservative that you said they brought on to?
There's a girl who does quite a lot of Dominique. I think she's from Manchester. I forget her surname. Forgive me. Hang on a minute. I want to get this. I think it's Dominique Samuels. And she's been on a few times, and she's very articulate. And I'm not saying that you can't have Dominique Samuels. I'm not saying that you should have those sort of voices. My point is, you need to have a balance, and you need to show that, okay, some black people think like this, but the majority of black people or other black people think like this as well. You don't often get that. You don't get that. You get one voice, and it's like, oh, this is interesting. You know what I mean? So let's give them a platform. It needs to be balanced and fair.
Yeah, but there was a Dave Chappelle Ja Rule moment last week on Piers Morgan. Did you see it? Because, like you said, they have like sorry, repeat her name again, Deborah.
Oh, Dominique Samuels, I think.
So they have Dominic Samuels on, who's representing black conservatives, and then for the left wing, they brought on fucking Dizzy Rascal. And then it's like, but fair play to Dizzy, because he actually said them words. He goes, I don't know, I don't speak for all black people. Do you know what I mean? Which is what you need. You need that sort of, that honesty. And Piers Morgan didn't know what to do with himself, because it's correct. He doesn't speak for all black people. No one person speaks for a whole race, or just like, I don't speak for everyone in Manchester, nor do you. Do you know what I mean? No. So that was quite interesting, like the Ja Rule, Japel. Nobody gives a fuck what Dizzy Rascals goes.
Can someone get Dizzy on the phone? I need someone to sense all this.
I can't. No. Carla's busy. We're gonna get Kano now. He's busy. Get Dizzy Rascal. Should have just looking around for grime artists. Yeah.
Stormzy won't answer his phone. See what I mean? Come on, we know that. So they got Dizzy on, and Dizzy wanted to plug his album. Dizzy, I don't know, fuck. I would talk about this fucking politics and shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm not charted for 4 years. I've got.
I'm still busy looking for Calvin Harris for another single.
Let me just put my album. This is the album. Download it quick. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, mate, yeah, I think you need to box club. You need to start talking to people who sort of. You need to start talking to different people, different voices as well. And this goes back to giving more people opportunities in the media as well, not having the same old tired voices or same old opinions and decision makers at the top. That we need to say, and that does time with Black Lives Matter and the whole sort of inclusivity as well. You need to see more diversity at the top, whether that's at the top of football, at the top of media, at the top of show business or the film industry or corporations. That is part of the issue. It's not just the people that are in front of the camera or the people that are on the pitch playing football or the people that are in the dugout even. It's the people in the boardroom level, the people at the top who are making decisions. We need more diversity there. That's the way I think we're going to get more balanced views and get less hatred and less idiocy as well, man. You're a scholar, you're a man of letters, you're a historian. You must know what you're talking is utter shite. You must know that. Here's two Mancunian lads who barely got, bachelor's degrees between us. No offense to it. But, it took us a long time to get there as mature students. Listen, no one was, we weren't picking out PhDs from our ass when we were in our early 20s, believe me. Yeah. Even we know that the fucking Roman Empire was around a lot longer before the British Empire. Even we know about things like that. Even we know that what you're talking about, David Starkey, is utter drivel. And even we know that the language you're using is unacceptable. So you know it, but you just don't care. Yeah. And you think, fuck it, I'll get away with it. And you know what? I'll probably be okay and I'll probably still have a media career and I'll probably still get invited on. And I think that whilst sometimes cancel culture can go too far, I think when it gets to the point where you've got offensive hate speech being broadcast by certain individuals, then you have to draw a line under it.
Completely agree with you, man. Well, you just touched on racism, and then you talked about football this week. They were talking about the commentary and how, and I know you've mentioned this in the past on social media. This isn't a new phenomenon, but due to the current climate, that has been brought to attention again is how players of colour, more particularly black players, are given certain animalistic behaviours because of attributed to them because of the way they play, which doesn't happen to like you'll get a Pogba's a beast, whereas Harry Kane is a gladiator. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they're both two athletic players, and now I think it's the FA that have challenged the commentators to do like undergo some training or to be aware of their language when they're doing it. Now, something in this that I think is that I presume a lot of the commentators don't have any sort of racist blood bone in their body, but they do it just as second nature because that's what they've been brought up on or under. Do you know what I mean? So do you think that's going to be an issue from them? Because do you think their language comes from their environment that they've sort of been brought up on? Because obviously, if you look at that, they've learned from the commentators beforehand. So is it going to be easy to turn this sort of thing around? And do you want to discuss about certain examples or stuff that you've noticed in the past?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you make a good point now, and it's been raised. And where does this come from? Is it inherent? Is it something learned? Is it just instinctive to see a black person and have that sort of part of your brain that automatically compares them to an animal? More clever person than I will have to answer some of those questions. But I think like you said, I've raised this issue before. My sort of gripe in the past has been about compliments to players, and that sounds crazy, but like you say, we've had it with criticisms as well. Black players get criticised, their attitude. His attitude is wrong. He's lazy. Those are two words, lazy and attitude. You will always hear about a black player who's not playing well. And if it's a white player, it'll be like he's out of form, he's unsettled, or he's just struggling, or whatever. Or he's carried a knock. There'll be some sort of
justification.
Justification for him not playing well. Whereas a black player, and we've heard it ourselves with our players we know, Martial, Pogba, even Rashford before he was a golden one. His attitude, his attitude stinks, or he's lazy, or whatever. And Ron Atkinson took it to another level, didn't he? And added an M-bomb to the sentence as well. Talk about people that need to be cancelled. So there's that, but that is one thing. But what really sort of got to me was the compliments, like you said. Kevin De Bruyne skips past two players and brings one in. What a majestic goal! What skill! What balance! What ability! Paul Pogba does exactly the same. What strength, what power, what pace. And it's just breaking it down to that old sort of racist trope of black people are just built, they're just strong and they're just fast and they're quick. They're not as bright, but they're just built better. That's why Pogba scores that goal, because he's just physically better. He's not clever. He's not talented. He's just built, stronger and better. A mate of mine and a mate of ours, Paul Ansorge, who he does Paul Rantcast, he used to Rantcast. I think he does No Question About That podcast. Great sort of guy, known him for a few years, big United fan, knows his stuff. I think he was at Bleach Report, used to be in the press conferences. He even got praised off Jose for his questions. That's how sort of intelligent he is. And he raised this issue. Do you remember when United were having 4-0 FC when we kept winning 4-0?
Yeah.
Under Jose for about a month, and then it obviously all went sits up and we started drawing 0-0 and losing again. But we had that spell when we had Lukaku, Pogba, Martial, Rashford scoring lots of goals. We were blowing teams away 4-0, and the commentators were like, look at the strength, look at the pace, look at the power, look at the athleticism. Not look at the balance, look at the skill, look at the vision, look at the ability. It was none of that. And he raised it with Gary Lineker. He tweeted Gary Lineker, and he's like, I think you need to think about the way you're describing these goals that you're talking about on Match of the Day. Look at the language. And Gary Lineker sort of pushed back and was like, what are you talking about? And Gary Lineker's not exactly renowned for being racist or right wing, so you can give him the benefit of the doubt. But he was like, "What you don't?" He didn't see the problem. He didn't.
You know what I mean? That's what I meant. Yeah. Like, so they're not aware of the issue.
He was almost defending, like, "Are you for real?" sort of attitude. But now there's been this study where I think they've looked at 2,703 games or whatever, or commentators. They've examined hundreds and hundreds of comments they've made and looked at it and done it that the averages and the percentages are a black player and a white player doing a similar thing. The black player's physicality is more likely to be brought up, the white player's ability, and again, the animal sort of thing. You go back to words like beast and things like that. Now that doesn't mean that if I say to you, someone pointing out, well, Harry Maguire's got a nickname, the Beast. If I say Harry Maguire's a beast, that doesn't mean, oh, well, that's it then. That's proving that's a load of rubbish. You can still have certain instances that aren't the same as that, where white players get spoken about in that way, Or if I say to you, or if we go on a counter-attack and I say, oh, Marcus Rashford was rapid there, that doesn't mean, that's racist. What people are saying is, obviously, the go-to comment about a black player would be their physicality first. Yeah. Then it would be things like their skill, their ability, or whatever, as almost a secondary thought. Whereas in white players, it's the other way around. And that's, I think, what's being brought up. And this study's found. And my sort of attitude towards things like this is, yes, I've been arguing about these points for a few years. I don't think it hurts to have studies, to see what they're saying, and to learn from them, and to try and educate people. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? We need to get out of this idea that knowledge is a bad thing. It sort of stems from the fucking, not completely, but, Brexit and Trump and all that. And it's like, oh, you can't trust experts and knowledge, experts tell you everything and, don't listen to them lot.
Yeah.
Learning things and doing these studies and progressing with your language and your behaviours is a positive thing. And that's what we need more of. So I welcome this study. I hope the FA and Premier League look at it. I hope commentators themselves take it upon themselves to not to get a chip on the shoulder or to be sort of arsey about it and go, well, I'm not racist. No one's saying that, you're knowingly, or you're trying to be racist, or you are racist. But you're saying it might even just be something you're not aware of that, on reflection, needs to be addressed. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've changed my language over the years into just the way I talk, the way me and you communicated when we first met each other.
Oh, mate, we won't be on the podcast now if it was the way we were.
And I don't, let's be honest, mate. There was certain comments and words and stuff we'd use that would be crossing a line now. And you learn and you think, you know what, that is offensive. I won't speak like that anymore. So that's offensive to certain groups. And you mature and you learn, and you I think we both come from a place where we want to, and we are more liberal, and it's happening all over. In football, certain chants have gone, certain attitudes have changed. So let's continue that. It's not a bad thing. People go too far and go, well, that's it. No, you can't say anything. So you can't even say that. We can't. So I can't say that Mbappe's quick, or I can't say that. I don't know. Eric Bailly's wrong. No one's fucking saying that. Stop being thick. That's not the argument. The argument is, how do you describe a player who's black compared with one who's white initially? What's the sort of language that you use? Do you look at their skill and their ability first, or is it their physicality? And if it's always is it always their physicality when they're black, or almost always? And is it not when they're white? And if that is the case, then that's something that needs to be looked at. Yeah,
I agree. The question is it discriminative? Am I right? Fucking word. Yeah, discriminative.
Good job we don't work with words.
I know, yeah. Against a race of people. If the answer is yes, then it needs looking at. I think these people that think, oh, why are we changing stuff? We've not peaked. Do you know what I mean? As a society and culture, we've not reached the mountaintop. Do you know, like
we're at the pinnacle now. There's nowhere else to go.
Fuck it. Yeah, that's it. We'll just chill out. Just we're here now. This is Valhalla.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah,
done that. Done it all.
Clocked it. But the thing was when you talk about the words there about how black players are described just due to physicality, and then white players in an alternative language, it's very much like you're taking away, you're detracting from players of colour to have any sort of gracefulness or artistic ability. Do you know what I mean? You're taking away the beauty about it. You know when you look at stuff like Johan Cruyff, who was always classed as a beautiful player, though he's quite graceful the way. But then when you're talking about players of colour and them just focusing on them attributes, you're saying it's just brute force. Do you know what I mean? You are pretty much just saying that that's the only way that they're able to do that, and you are detracting from giving them the admiration that they deserve, because the black players are as artistic and graceful. Football's called a beautiful game, and it's played by people of all sorts of colours. So we should be just you should be attaching the same labels to people who are doing the magnificent things. Like Pogba's done so many beautiful things recently.
Do you know what as well, Scotty? It's I've been guilty of it. I've said things about when Pogba was coming through as a kid, and again, this is where I learned about language and my thought process as well. I remember Pogba when he was in 2010, when he was in the academy, 2010-11, sorry, when he was in the academy team that won the 2011, I think it was, won the FA Youth Cup. And I used to describe him, I used to blog and talk to my friends about, he's, and my go-to description of Pogba was, look at him, man, he's a beast, he's strong, he's, you know what I mean, he holds players off, he's mint, but, the reason that Paul Pogba was one of the most talked about young players in the world and one of his best players in that United youth team was his ability. And yes, I would mention that, but half the time, the first go-to comment, even from myself and other, lads that I used to watch the game with, would be like about his powerfulness, he's strong, he's, and we've heard it like about players like Vieira. Well, he's strong. Patrick Vieira, I'm no fucking Arsenal fan, but he's a highly gifted footballer. That's why he was so successful, not just because he was strong and big. Otherwise, you just, you could just go down to the local gym and just get anyone out there and stick him in a football team and they'll be minute. It's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have that ability. And that's what they've got. And it's, have you ever seen a film, Inglourious Bastards?
I have.
Have you seen it where they're in the cafe and it's the Christoph Waltz character and he's talking to the girl about her cinema. And she says a projectionist is she describes him, obviously. She says he's a Negro or he's black. And he says, and Christoph Waltz says, oh yeah, I can understand why that'd be a good profession for him. you know what I mean? Like, it's that mentality in it. Oh yeah, the big, the strong, they're not too bright. That'll be a good job for him, you know. And that's what a film set. Obviously, it's sort of tongue in cheek, but that's set 70 years ago in Nazi fucking occupied France.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sky Sports.
Yeah. So you need to get past that. You need to progress, and we need to think about it, and we need to understand it. And you know, if my son watches commentators, does he need to think that the only way that black players are going to make it is if they're big and strong? Is that how it works? Whereas if you're white, you know, you're gifted and you're talented and you're skillful, or is it a case of first and foremost it's your skill and your ability, and then it's your strength and your speed and whatever, or there's a balance there? It's not all one way. You know what I mean? Again, I don't want to keep repeating myself, but you just need to have a bit more balance, and people need to stop, you know, getting so uptight about the idea of change. I know we don't like change anyway. People don't. I don't like fucking things moving around my house. But do you know what I mean? It's like there's nothing wrong with a bit of change. Like you say, we've not peaked. Do you know what I mean?
That's the arrogance to say, why do we need to change as though things can't improve? But yeah, I completely agree with all your thoughts there. And just want to say best of luck, Jamie Redknapp, with that, because you're one of the most guilty people that I've seen for using that terminology.
I mean, there's been signs from Graham Souness that he wants to learn. Do you know what I mean? Because he's the main culprit where people are going to go, Souness. Because when he's flagging off players, especially he seems to have this thing about certain black players, he questions their attitude, he questions, you know what I mean, the temperament or whatever, or the lazy or whatever. So he's got to look at himself there. Is he going to address it? Is he going to think? Because he's made the right noises at times. But you're right, we've seen it with Jamie Redknapp. I've seen a lot of commentators, and there's nothing wrong with going, okay then. Yeah, maybe I do that. Is that something I need to look at? Just give it a go, man. Fucking hell.
Definitely. I just want to touch on something this week. It looks like there's a Save Our Venues campaign, because of the amount of music venues that are looking that they're going to close or go under because of the lack of investment and government support. I've got lots and lots of mates that own venues, from the small ones to large ones across Manchester and further afield. It's really worrying, because as a musician and performer myself, I mean, I'll be all right financially, but I do worry as to who is going to be able to afford to be an artist or an actor nowadays, when it isn't, you know, being a musician, you don't earn any money from it. And now we're closing venues, so people are not going to be able to learn a trade there. And we're not going to, then what we're going to do, get an influx of middle class artists, because they can only afford to do this trade, because they've got a rich mummy and daddy. And the fact that the government need to just, this sound, as a scale, £50 million sounds a huge amount of money. But when you look about how much money has been spent on the referendum and the whole Brexit thing that went on for fucking far too long, 2-3 years, and if you look at the money that's been reinvested now into or been used to save jobs, like we're going into the billions of pounds. Why is it we can't save this sector? Now, as a conspiracy theorist, I do wonder if the arts are generally left wing, and I used to be pointing the finger at the people that are in power at the moment. So why would the Tory government want to put money into an art form that, by and large, produce people who are going to be pointing fingers at them? It's just extremely worrying, and we do need to start rallying around them to start investing in the arts. You got any thoughts on that, Joe?
No, I completely agree. Was it the going back to austerity? Was it the British? I can't remember. I knew this as well. Not the British Film Institute. It was the something arts fund or whatever for film, a part of the British film industry, which was cut during austerity, and that was a sad time. Forgive me, forgetting the name. But you know, it was sad, because that had funded a lot of films that were going to be able to be made, and now you know, as you mentioned, a lot of artists out there, and when I say artists, I mean performance directors, people like yourself, who are out of work, and this is a massive domino effect here, because there's people like, let's say for example you yourself, you know, let's say you couldn't perform and you weren't able to have that income, so there's effects on you personally. You know, you may be struggling to make ends meet, feed your family or whatnot, but then there's someone out there who enjoys your work or gets, you know, what you're trying to say, and it gives them a bit of hope, and it gives them a bit of inspiration, or encourages them, because you're a working class lad who no disrespect, started this a little bit later in life than most people, it might be one of those where you inspire a lot of people who think, actually, Scotty gave it a go in his, late 20s, whatever. I could do this, but they're not going to have that influence. So, that's another. So you get someone there who might have gone down that route who doesn't, and that has a knock-on effect. So there's a massive domino effect here when it comes to the arts and things like that. And it's sad because, look at Britain and look at the same people that say, oh, how wonderful Britain is and how patriotic it is, sort of ignore the fact that throughout British history, part of our patriotism and part of the thing that's made us persevere and defy the odds when it looked like we were up against it. I'm not talking about empire and jingoism and all that shit. I'm talking about things like, if you want to go back to, say, Second World War, for example, we recently lost Dame Vera Lynn and everyone talks about, her songs and things like that. And not just propaganda, but even Shakespeare. Do you know what I mean? Like, once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. That sort of thing can uplift you. Know what I mean? No, mate. I know I'm being a little slightly tongue-in-cheek.
No, yeah, I know. I agree.
Like, music and the arts and things like that can lift your spirits. It can at a time now where, a lot of people are at the end of the tether and are struggling. And whether you're in that environment or not, whether you're part of, you are an artist or not, even just from an observer point of view, from a viewer, from a consumer's point of view, the arts can be something that you need more than ever now. And to see that not get the backing it needs, and you mentioned there 50 million quid, it's fuck all. It is, 50 million quid's a lot of money. No, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. We've spent billions on on this fucking Brexit shambles that we don't need to go on about.
HS2, fucking hell, how much is that
costing? I can get to London 20 minutes quicker. Fucking what, when I'm 57? Nice one.
But there's going to be fuck all to see in London because they're closing all the fucking theatres, and that was one of the main reasons that people went to London anyway. And it's not just the artists; it's the venues as well. It's the people who work behind the bar at the venues. It's the photographers that go along there. It's the sound engineers. It is the fans. It's the people who make the merchandise for the bands. So it's not just, when people just see it on social media and they'll see all artists, and it can just seem a little bit fucking too much Bono at times, like we need to save the venues, man. But it's more than that. These are people, there's so many different livelihoods that are affected just through this one industry. And the fucking coronavirus has taken 50,000 plus lives. Now we're going to have where I think today, Café Rouge, Bella Italia, yesterday, Royal Exchange, 65% in Royal Exchange in Manchester Theatre, 65% of them jobs are going to go. I work at BBC Radio Manchester. They're having cuts in regional news there, which is our outputs. We are ruining livelihoods now because of the lack of financial support that our government are giving us. And then when you look further afield, most other countries are actually supporting their arts with government support. It's absolutely horrendous, and I just can't see any logic behind it. And they're saying that we can't reopen the venues for safety reasons. Fine, we'll help them out, give them a safety net so they can get through this next few months, so that so they can survive. Because we're just now reaching towards the end of the furlough scheme. That we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of how many people this is going to affect. If the Royal Exchange in Manchester, which is arguably the biggest one in the region in the northwest, I'd say. I'm not too clued up to Liverpool, but it's a renowned theatre. If that's having to get rid of 65% of its staff, what is going to happen to what venues that are smaller than them, that don't have as much funding or financial clout as they do to get support from everywhere else? Royal Exchange, fortunately, I think it's in a listed building, so I don't think that'll have any issues regarding premises. But I've got friends who own theatre groups and stuff that they have overheads of rent. They've got ends to meet. Do you know what I mean? And it's just they've got no one going in, so they've got no money coming in to pay the rent. They live on next to nothing because they're artists, because they don't pay it. It pays next to nothing. We're not just losing lives through a virus now. We're losing livelihoods due to a lack of government support, and that's the honesty of it.
You're right, mate, and you said it really well. And I know it's something that's personally devastating to you because, like you say, you're in that world and you've got friends that are hurting. And I just hope that somehow we get out of this mess, and that the voices that are shouting about this are heard, because I get that it's a struggle for a lot of people, but this is a struggle that affects so many people, and it affects them in so many different ways. And also, it's so fixable. It is.
Yeah.
There's a way to fix it. This is the point. You know, this
that's
is
a frustrating. Yeah. When you see, sorry, Jay, when you see 900 grand spent on painting a fucking plane.
Come on, you know, me and you are often cheering ourselves up by looking at Boris Johnson's plane when we feel down.
Well, I'm going to go on one, right. So we're looking at the art sector now, where they can't find £50 million for investment, right? Before coronavirus struck, we were told that hospitals needed funding, schools needed funding, they're going to shit. Fucking the roads down there can't be fixed regardless because there's not enough money in the pot. And then we shook the money tree. We found billions of pounds to actually save the country. Before that, we had the same fucking excuses. There's not enough money for schools, hospitals. Oh yeah, but yeah, we found millions of pounds, millions and millions of billions of pounds to sort this referendum out. So I don't have it. I don't believe you for a second that there isn't £50 million hid under some fucker's pillow, right, that can't save the arts. It's an absolute farce. Every time that they want to spend money, they will find money. Whether it's a paint job for a fucking plane or putting the HS2 that nobody gives a shit about, put it up from fucking London for an extra 20 minutes on a journey. Nobody cares about that. Not a single person I know. So I'm not having it that they can't find £50 million to save the livelihoods of so many people, to save a country that is probably one of the proudest things that I'm about being British, is the culture, is the films that we create, is the music that we create, is the theatre that we create. And you are just going to turn it to shit because the next generation, unless they've got a rich mummy and daddy, aren't going to have any platform to learn their skills, to expand their skills. You are just decimating futures further down the line, and right in the here and now, you are just killing people's livelihoods, and you're just sending them to food banks. And like I said, next year and forever on, where do these people that have a limited skill set that is in the arts, what are they going to do? What job are they set up to do? I've got friends that are photographers, who've been lifelong photographers, but now they're all their music photographers. They can't work for the next 12 months because there's going to be no gigs till next year. 50 years old, they're not going to be relearning a skill. What? So they're just thrown by the wayside.
Mate, that's fantastically summed up, mate. I wish you didn't. You summed it up perfectly. It's great. Great what you said. I just wish you didn't have to say it. I really do. This is where we're at. I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up as well. Unless you've got anything else, mate. I mean, feel free. I
was going to touch on Prince Andrew and Maxwell.
Go on. Good. Sorry. Yes. Let's not let him off the hook. Yes.
Well, I'm getting hot. I'm literally getting hot under the collar from them, and that was a little reminder. It's like I've been to Pizza Express in Woking.
You never forget when you've been to Pizza Express in Woking. Believe me.
I know. They did though, funnily enough.
Yeah. Yes. Go on, mate. What's with Giselle?
Ghislaine? Is it Ghislaine? Sounds very wrong. That sounds like some horrendous porn act.
Ghislaine. I think the S is silent. Ghislaine Maxwell. Who is it? Robert Maxwell's daughter. A lovely man.
Apples and trees.
Yes, exactly. Something about that. She's been arrested for. Let me get the exact charge right, because me and Scotty can't afford lawyers. So
no, I think this. Go on.
No, she's been arrested by the FBI for her roles in the Jeffrey Epstein crimes. Because obviously Jeffrey Epstein, unless you've been living under a rock, the famous New York financier who was accused of running paedophile rings and paedophile rings and sex trafficking and things like that. He killed himself, and he did kill himself. He did kill himself in his cell in New York. There was nothing suspicious about that whatsoever. Yeah, she was his right-hand woman who allegedly helped him procure underage girls to give to his rich mates and to have, their way with them, what have you. The reason that Scotty was mentioning, Prince Andrew, you must have seen the absolute best ever interview that anyone's ever given that Prince Andrew gave to Emily Maitlis, which was just, if you look car crash up in the dictionary, they'll have a picture of Prince Andrew giving that interview in it. It was fucking shocking. And I think he may have even incriminated himself during it. That was how bad it was. Yeah. But he was friends with Ghislaine, Maxwell, friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So his involvement is still being under investigation. Apparently, the FBI want him to go over to America. He says he's willing to. They say he's not. So there's a bit of an impasse there. Ghislaine Maxwell's been arrested. A lot of people now are saying, because she knows Prince Andrew, she was apparently the conduit between him and Jeffrey Epstein. She's going to start singing like a canary, because something tells me that this rich millionaire isn't going to fancy doing porridge that much. And she may start pointing a finger at Prince Andrew. So we'll see. More to follow. But I watched the Jeffrey Epstein stinky, filthy rich thing on Netflix. And you saw these testimonies from these girls, these women now, but they were girls at the time. Very brave, all coming forward. And they all said how she was massively involved. And I tweeted, and more than tweeted, I shouted at me telly. I was like, why the fuck isn't she under arrest? Ghislaine Maxwell, why is she roaming free? Well, she's not anymore. She's under arrest. So we'll see how it pans out, and we'll see what it means for Randy Andy, as he used to be called.
Randy Andy, yeah. Who actually said in the same interview that he'd never met Ghislaine Maxwell, and yet this photographic evidence with him with a underage girl and Ghislaine Maxwell stood in the doorway.
No, he said he'd never been. He said that. So he said, because he tried to play it off about her with Epstein, that he didn't know Epstein, he knew her, and it was like
right, right, okay.
Yeah, and then there was photos of him and Epstein a lot, but she wasn't there. And then you're right about that. The thing with Ghislaine Maxwell is he said that it was nonsense, this interview, by the way. It made no fucking sense. And it was like a PR disaster. It's one of the worst interviews I've ever seen. There was a picture of him and this underage girl. And I forget her name. Sorry, I'll try and Google it, because it winds me up when sort of the people that are involved in this just get dismissed. One sec, I'm just trying to... Virginia... again, I'm going to get this name wrong, because it's Virginia Giuffre, I think it is. Blame it on my accent. Anyway, a picture of him with Virginia when she was apparently underage. He said that's not. That I don't remember that picture being taken. I don't think that can be me anyway, because that's upstairs in Ghislaine Maxwell's house. I've never been upstairs in Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Now, as me and you said earlier, we're not the most academic types. I think we're relatively intelligent. I'm not a genius by any stretch. But I'm guessing if you know that that's Ghislaine Maxwell's upstairs, you probably fucking know it, because you've been there.
Yeah.
So the argument that can't be made because that's upstairs of her house and I've never been upstairs. Well, how do you know it's the upstairs of her house if you've never been there? You're talking fucking rubbish. That looks like her upstairs, but I've never been there.
Google Maps, mate. Google Maps is a miracle, but I think it might have done it on that. Listen, this has been Scotty and Motty, and let us know what you think about Prince Andrew. Everything we discussed tonight.
I don't know. I'm pointing at you when you said Prince Andrew. He's not Prince Andrew. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Yeah. I don't know how to go with that. Yeah. Anything we've covered tonight, please get in touch. We've covered a hell of a lot. But thanks as ever for watching. I've been Scotty. That's been Motty. Subscribe, share, tell your mates, and stay in touch. And we shall see you soon.